By adding more machines, these businesses can produce more, therefore their gross profit increases, therefore their net profit increases. It's about being able to produce more, increasing gross profit and net profit. Hi, I'm Eric, Alpha Power Solutions, and today I want to explain how power factor correction equipment can free up capacity on your electrical supply. So what happens especially with successful businesses, is that they keep on adding machines and adding machines. When they initially bought the premises or built their factory, the guys would have figured out how much power they would need, and then as they start growing, they keep on adding machines, and at some point they reach the limit where they can no longer add more machines without tripping or overloading their electrical supply. And so that it's quite frustrating for them, because they see these opportunities, they have the space available for adding more machines to increase production or introduce a different product, and they simply can't, and they get limited. So there's a few options to them. Basically, the first one is go to the utility and ask for an upgrade of the electrical supply. Now, that is sometimes possible, but not always. The utility company might not have additional power to give in a specific area. It's simply saturated. There's just too many people drawing electricity from the grid, and that's it. It's impossible to give the clients more power. So the other one is basically the client can. The other thing I want to add there is that even if you granted more power by the utility, you will have to spend an enormous amount of money upgrading your electrical supply and all your electrical distribution systems. So this is a massive investment. The other solution is to do your own load shedding, where you decide yourself that you will switch off certain machines to when you want to run other machines. So you have to balance what's going to operate when, and that usually is quite disruptive. Usually, sometimes it's not. But yeah, it's another solution. And then the third solution is basically for sites that have a poor power factor. The site doesn't have power factor correction equipment installed. It is possible to reduce power drawn from the grid by installing power factor correction equipment. So by installing power factor correction equipment, the reactive power that the plant is consuming is actually generated by the power factor correction equipment. That means that it no longer has to come through the supply or from the grid. Since the reactive power doesn't come through the supply anymore, you can actually now add more active power, or draw more active power from your electrical supply. That is an effective solution for sites with a poor power factor. The return on investment for those types of installations is extremely short, because then it's not an issue about reducing electricity bills. It's about being able to produce more, increasing gross profit and net profit. It's about not just the sustainability of the business, but creating employment, all those things. So it is a really important factor. And since these are usually successful businesses, because they keep growing the whole time, it makes so much sense that we work with hand in hand with them to enable them to optimize their power draw from the grid and produce as much as possible with what's available to them in terms of electricity. The process to follow in these particular circumstances is to record the power profile of the client, either with available online metering data, instrumentation, or by installing a data logger and record the power usage of the client. That way, we have the right data to design the required power factor correction system, can guarantee the reduction in power usage, and the client can make then an informed decision whether the amount of power we're going to save, the amount of power drawn from the grid, if that reduction will allow the client to add these machines he wishes to add to his factory without having to shut down other machines to accommodate the new machines. Well, these guys typically have well-planned shutdown days or maintenance days. Then we have to fit in with these guys, because that's the only time we can really work or service the equipment without affecting their electricity bills. So it requires planning. It sometimes involves weekend work. It's more expensive, but by doing it on a maintenance day or on a day where there is very little power usage, you get free. Your bill isn't affected. And for some businesses, this has a major, major impact. That the servicing is done during low power conditions. Well, like I mentioned before, for customers that have reached the limit of their electrical supply, the installation of power factor correction equipment actually is all about the additional turnover the company can make. By adding more machines, these businesses can produce more, therefore their gross profit increases, therefore their net profit increases. And the payback of these investments is then extremely short because it's then not based on savings in electricity costs. It's about being able to increase net profit and in the process create more jobs. That is one of the motivating factors for our teams here is that we can't quantify it exactly, but we know for sure that some of the businesses that we have helped have been able to reduce their operating costs so significantly that we've saved them from going under or being able to be more profitable and stay in business. We'll never know for sure because these businesses don't share this information with us necessarily. Because there's lots of factors that will determine whether or not the company goes under or flourishes. But I still believe that there's, based on the information that we had on, how much the client was going to save and our perception of the profitability of the business, I'm sure we've had a major impact in employment in South Africa. In